Oh, gotcha. That's why he had to bring Elvis home. You know, they tried to steal his body the first night that he was entombed.
Really?
Yeah, he went into a mausoleum building, and in the same cemetery with Gladys. And that night they caught some guys climbing over the fence. Um, that's another one of these things they say we're not supposed to talk about, but it was in the media for a while, and a lot of people know about it. And when they questioned these guys, because it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when they called them, come on, what were you doing in the cemetery at that time of night? And they said they were actually wanting to kidnap the body and hold it for ransom.
Hello and welcome to another editing session. In this session, we're going to edit pictures taken at Elvis Presley's 2 key moments in his life: his birth and his death. His birth was in Tupelo, Mississippi. His death was at Graceland in Tennessee. Now, these 2 places are only separated by about 150 miles, so you can actually do a day trip to both places. Now, in this video, we will be editing pictures that most people don't actually get to see. Why is that? Because I got on a super mega cool ultimate VIP tour that takes in artifacts that, as I said, most people don't actually get to see. So in saying all that, let's load up the pictures in Lightroom and let's get started. Okay, so here we are. We've got the pictures loaded into Lightroom. Let's start editing them. The first series of pictures were all taken at Tupelo, where he was actually born. This is a better shot. Let's edit this one. Bring up the shadows because it was undercover. It was a bright, once again it's in the south, so it's going to be a bright day. You're going to get lots of shadows and a little bit vibrant. And that we tone down the whites just a tad. There we go. And this should be the plaque telling you about the car. Not really a lot you can do with this one. Can you actually read the writing on it? Or there you go, you actually can read the writing on the plaque if you zoom in. Bring down, increase the blacks a bit. And that should be that one. Export. That's a picture inside the car. So here you go, welcome center. This is Elvis's birthplace, just in case you didn't know. I like taking pictures of plaques and markers because it's a good reminder of exactly what this series of photographs is, and usually you get some history along with it. Not very exciting photographs, these are more for my personal, just as reminders. but they can be good to put in your photo collection so that other people get the same information that you get. That looks good. Let's export on that one. Yeah, don't need the walk of life. Now this is the actual house that Elvis was born in. Unlike today, where most people are born in hospitals, back then a lot of people were actually born in their houses. Don't really need a lot doing with these. What is this, 24-70? Yeah, 24-70 lens, ISO 800. So I've got plenty of leeway on editing them. But as you can see, it really doesn't need that much done to it. Angle on it. Same thing, house. We'll get round to the porch in a minute, but didn't actually go inside the house. A little bit of colour. Down with the highlights a touch. Just a smidge on the dehaze, and we can actually brighten it just a tad. There we go. These pictures are actually coming out really well straight from the camera. So here's the sign. A little bit crooked, so let's go in here and straighten it. So why is this house significant? Here you go. This is why I like taking pictures of plaques and historical markers. Otherwise people would just be saying, why have you taken a picture of an old house? What's so significant about that? These pictures really don't need that much done to them at all. As you can see, I'm hardly touching the sliders. Round to the front, and there's the porch. Now this one will need the shadows lifted so that we can get the porch swing. And there you go. We can now see the porch swing. As you can see, it's well worn. Now part of that is, over the years, people that have been coming to this location have actually been, this is a favourite place to get your picture taken, is sitting on the porch swing. So some of it might have been the original Presleys. A lot of it, however, is just going to be tourists. Now we want to darken that quite a bit. There we go. Export. This is a young Elvis at age 13, get the plaque in the background. I doubt you'll be able to read this one. No, because it's on f5.6. You need it up at like f22. In fact, do I have an f22? There's an f22. Okay, so here's the perfect example of exposure, your f-stops and depth of field. We have an f-stop of 2.8. Nice bokeh in the background, everything's blurred out, you can see the little circles. Quite nice bokeh on this lens, it's the 24-70 lens. f5.6. Background's starting to come into focus, it's still narrow depth of field. As you can see, statue is perfectly in focus. Background, not quite. f22, you can now even read the sign. Everything is in focus, front to back. So which one do we really like? We've got f2.8, nice blurred background. Unfortunately, there's a person here in the frame. f5.6, f22. We'll go with the f22. Bring up the shadows so you can see the details on the statue. That's quite nice right there. Do need to bring down the highlights a touch, but quite a bit. There we go, we got rid of the blown out white. And here is that plaque that we were talking about. Again, slightly off kilter, not by much I don't think. There we go. And the angle was off minus 0.56 of a degree. Okay, don't really need to do much with the shadows. Highlights down though. Bring the contrast and clarity in. We still at, yeah, we're still at f22. There we go. No longer blown out in the background. There, nice. That's a bit better. That was wildly off angle wise. Bring up the shadows so you can actually see stained windows. In doing so, we need to reduce the highlights, reduce the whites. We're no longer blown out. And there you go. Nice and easy. Okay, so here's the chapel that Elvis used to sing at as a kid. Unfortunately, I think it was this couple, would not get out the way of the front of it. Blah 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 blah. Continue to incorporate. Yeah, this is the actual one. They actually had it moved. Here, that he used to sing in as a child. Look at the highlights. There we go. We're not blown out anymore, which is what we want to see. As I said, with these pictures, I'm not really having to do that much with them. Export, export. And here, as you can see, is them actually moving the chapel into the ground. Told you they moved it. Just a tad. Up with the vibrance, saturation. Again, look at the sliders. I'm not having to do much with these at all. These were dialed in great. And here's the front of the chapel. Again, this couple just would not move. Finally they moved and I got a shot. Way too much, way too much. There we go. Bring up the shadow so you can see the nice wooden doors. There we go, good contrast. Do you like that? Yeah, that works. That works. The outhouse. I never actually did read this plaque. This is a replica of the outhouse that is typical of poor people in the south. Now, whilst photographing this, you see the sprinklers in the background, especially this one here. Unbeknownst to me, these swivel and I actually got soaked. Luckily, it was a nice hot, I think it was high 80s day, so it didn't take long to dry up. Bring up the shadow so you can see inside. There's actually a plexiglass sort of door on here. Nobody can get inside it. There we go. Bit of colour to the grass. That works. So this is just a different view of the outhouse. Inside the chapel. This was the Fountain of Life, I think they called it. They had a bunch of plaques explaining. I didn't actually go and read the plaques. And I don't think I actually... Oh, wrong slider. That's why that's looking weird. And I don't think I actually took pictures of those plaques either. At this point my knee was severely hurting and I just wanted to jump in the car and go. Anyway, export that, and I think that is fairly much the last of... Oh, here's some plaques, different ones. These are Bill Presley, Guy Harris, and James Osborne. Not entirely sure who these people are. I myself am not a big Elvis fan, but I appreciate the huge difference he made in music, in culture, and just Elvis made a huge difference in the landscape 50 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Yeah, it must be around 60 years ago. It's this year is the 40th anniversary of his death, I think. Fairly sure this year's the 40th anniversary. So his music career spanned more than 5 years, so that's 45, 50. So somewhere 50-ish, 50 to 60 years. And that is the end of Elvis's birthplace. Next up is some historical record or some historical music sites in Memphis. This is the Premier Palace. The plaque here tells you a bit about it and who all played there. I'm desperately trying to remember one of them. It's not the Men in Black, it's the Man in Black. I don't like country music, you'll have to excuse me when it comes to... I can tell you what people have told me and once we get to Graceland, I'll try and remember and tell you what I got told about the artifacts and the house and etc, etc. But as I said, I'm not a big country music fan at all, so it is the Man in Black. I just for the life of me can't remember what his name was. Did we do his? That we did, because that looks quite nice. Although you are getting major shadows in the windows, that actually works. Okay, next up on the list should be Sun Records. Nope, it's the $1 Million Quartet. I suppose it's got some historical significance, so let's edit this. It actually didn't make it any better at all. Let's try the bottom line. Which shifted it the other way. So let's just leave it alone. It looks like my line here anyway, it looks straight. I think it is straight. It's just at an angle. Like kiltered angle. I don't really think there's that much I can do with this one. It looks fine. Bring in the sky a little bit. There we go. It looks fine. So next up is, there we go, Sun Studios.
I don't know that one.
And there's Alexa. So Sun Studios is a very famous recording studio. It's actually absolutely tiny in size. Very much like the Muscle Shoals recording studio. But very famous, a lot of very well known bands have recorded here, including of course Elvis Presley. This was the first place that signed Elvis. This was his first record deal, was with Sun Studios. You need to actually brighten that tad. Maybe lift the shadows a bit more. There we go. That works. Just another closer one. And one of the other side of wider angle, wider shot works better. So let's take this one. A little bit of colour into it and see if we can get some of the sky back. There you go, we got the sky. Now we just need to lift the door, lift the shadows a bit for the door. And there you go, Sun Studios. This, as you can see, are some of the artists that I've recorded here. Of course, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Man in Black, that was the one I was thinking of before, B.B. King, Roy Orbison, Charlie Rich, Gene Simmons, Def Leppard recorded here. There you go, Def Leppard. Tom Petty and a bunch of other people that I've not actually heard of, but Billy Bob Thornton, the movie star. Nobody, of course, will beat, I suppose anyway, Elvis. He's probably the most famous that's recorded here. Although knowing rock singers and their egos, I'm sure a few people will disagree and think they're bigger than Elvis. Very blurry because it's a half-second shot of the inside. So we corrected that. And this is just the shot of the inside, but not the actual studio. This here was more like a cafe, to be honest with you. Okay, so here we are at Graceland. This was the day after a big storm hit Memphis, as you can see from this picture here. There was trees down, power out everywhere, tree limbs, whole trees. Graceland is obviously on a power generator, so it had power. I prefer this one, it's not quite as... This is nothing to do with the actual Graceland Museum and the Elvis exhibits or whatever. This is just a byproduct, shall we say. Lift the shadows, reduce the highlights, and so there we go. Tree down in Graceland. Well, this actually isn't Graceland. The Elvis experience is split into two. You have Graceland itself, the house and the grounds, and then you've got the sort of museum part. This is the museum part. Just align that slightly. Just a picture to show where we are. Shouldn't really need to do much to this. It's just a sign. And this is Elvis's plane. Or one of Elvis's plane. This is the Lisa Marie. I want to say it's like a converted Boeing 707 jet, but it's not. This is actually older. This isn't a 707. I should know, but I actually don't what type of aircraft this is. It's not TriStar, but it's sort of in that era. Take down the lights. Elvis had 2 private jets. This one, which is more like a converted commercial airliner, it is quite large on the inside, as we shall see, and he also had a smaller one about the size of a Learjet. That looks okay. I just wish these people weren't here, but you can't have everything. Or did we get everything? They moved, and then you've got these people in the background. In fact, there they are, they're going up the steps. At least they're fairly much out of the picture. And then you get more. Big problem with public areas, from a photography aspect anyway, is the public. Really, you want time to set up your shot and have the perfect shot with nobody else in the frame, just the picture you want clean, clear, crisp. When you go to these public museums, you're always going to get people in your picture. You've just got to try and minimize. That's Elvis's. This is inside the plane. This is Elvis's wardrobe. Couches. Absolutely everything inside here was covered in plastic. Which I understand, they're trying to preserve this. If you look, it was dark in here. We're up to ISO 6400. Full wide open at f2.8, and we're still only getting 1/20th of a second. That's how dark it was in here. Anyway, you go up the gangplank, you enter, you've got the aircraft cabin on the left, you turn right just like you do in any other, when you're boarding a plane at the airport. Turn right, and where there's usually rows and rows and rows of seats, this is the first area. All the seats have been taken out. You have this plush it wasn't leather, I think it was suede couch. To the right, did I save this? Yeah, I saved it. And to the left, table and a couple of, I don't know, velour or whatever they are, chairs. That's a new monitor. That obviously Elvis didn't have that. But on the previous picture, this was Elvis's TV. Elvis loved television. He had TVs everywhere. He had TVs in every single room of his house. And as you can see here, he has TVs on his plane as well. Highlights down. Whites down just a tad. We're still blowing it out. It's got to be these lights, or it might be this monitor. Let's take a look. It's the monitor and the lights. I was right. Don't really care. It's not that big a deal. Okay, file, export. This is the second. Yeah, that's the first one. This is the second compartment where you've got yet another four seat couch. Shouldn't really need to do that much with this one. It came out quite well. Even on private jets such as these, we were getting told, you'll notice the buckles. These are required, these are mandated by the FAA. Every seat has to have a way to strap in. Every single one. So that works there. Export, export. This is the dining area. The seat up top, as you would expect, head of the table. This was Elvis's. And of course, just to be slightly different, his seat has to have, bring the highlights down the top, a different colour. Shows just a smidge. Now, one thing that we were told on the tour, Elvis didn't touch alcohol. Elvis never drank. He was a big fruit juice person, and one of the things that he drank a lot of was Gatorade. Which I think the next shot in this sequence, let's export this one, is a picture of the bar. Mountain Valley Water, Gatorade, Dr. Pepper, but I don't know. Yeah, so it did make it out. Bottle of rum and a bottle of scotch. So did Elvis actually drink or didn't he? I don't think he'll be able to get rid of the reflections. See if I can minimize them at least. There we go, slightly minimized. Not the best of shots because of the reflections, but everything was covered in plastic or plexiglass, everything was reflected. This was essentially the last section of the plane. This is Elvis's private bedroom. Once again, the TV set. Elvis loved television. This was Elvis's bed. A slightly better angle of it. Even although this is commercial jet, once you've got a queen size bed, I don't think that's a king, I think that's about a queen size bed in there. There actually isn't that much room. Hence why the bottom corner is cut off. But let's bring up the shadow so that we can actually see things. Oh, don't want exposure, I want highlights. There we go. That looks half decent. Export and export. Chest of drawers, mirror for, I guess, being people. In here was Elvis's private bathroom and also his makeup area, I suppose is what you would call it. Isn't that what stars have, is makeup areas? Come back. Now, as I said, I'm not a huge Elvis fan, but I know a lot of people out there are. And here it is, Elvis's private bathroom, or at least the entranceway to it. This is a gold-plated, both the sink and the wash, the handles and the spout, etc. All gold plated. This is where Elvis sat and got made up, makeup on or dressed and all that kind of good jazz. It's shot through plexiglass, and if you look, we're all the way up at ISO 12800. But we'll see what we can do to try and minimize things a little bit. At least we're getting the chair a bit. Let's dehaze this a touch and see if that brings it in. That brings it in a lot better. So we're still getting reflection. Oh, what did I do? Export, export, overwrite. Okay, okay. This was his makeup chairs. And on to the second one. This is his second jet, the smaller one. Kind of like a Learjet, but again, this is much older, and you can tell by the engine configuration this isn't a Learjet. We do need to bring up the shadows quite a bit on this, and possibly the exposure. Yep. There we go, but now we're clipping highlights and whites. Bring up the color just a tad. There we go. Now this would be, I wonder if photo merge panorama. This was a short panorama of the jet. Let's see, but it was taken out of order. And it actually does a fairly decent job of it. That's actually much better. So let's merge that one. It's only 2 pictures, so hopefully the merge won't take that long. Creating the panorama, and done, and done. There we go, and done. So this is the cockpit of the private jet. Again, plexiglass everywhere. So lots of reflections. I didn't carry around my camera bag, so I didn't have access to my neutral density filters, which would get rid of a lot of the glare. Not the circular polarizers, sorry, which would get rid of a lot of the glare on these. But the dehaze works quite a treat. So this is the cockpit of his private jet. And this is as far as you could get. You couldn't actually get inside it. This was the inside of his private jet. Again with the private bathroom and makeup area in the back. And D. Hayes, once again, working a treat in these situations. Doesn't completely get rid of the reflections, but it helps greatly. Same shot, wide angle. A picture of a Bowser that refueled it. Now this is going back to the larger plane. This is a picture of the cockpit of the larger plane. I said earlier that I went through this one twice because I actually missed a couple of shots, basically getting rushed. This is open to the public. This wasn't really just part of the VIP tour, so kind of getting rushed a bit through here with all the people wanting to see it. Hence the 2 trips into this aircraft. Hey, see if we can bring down the shadow, and there we go. So this is the cockpit of just another one of the cockpit. Right behind the cockpit, as soon as you come through the door, was another private bathroom, and once again you can see here a lot more clearly than the one at the back, the gold plated sink and gold plated handles and spout. Now all this, the towels, etc., the curtains, all that's original. The museum hasn't touched any of it or replaced anything. These were all Elvis's, these were all original to this aircraft. These were all, I suppose, Elvis's stuff that he actually used, or his passengers. Chances are his passengers used this one. He had his own private one in the back, but everything is original to this. A lot of museums will take stuff out and replace them with replicas, just to kind of preserve them. One thing Graceland does well is they haven't touched anything. Same in the actual Graceland house, they haven't touched it. This is Elvis's boots, or a pair of Elvis's boots. Elvis liked clothes. Excuse me. So he owned lots of boots, lots of shirts, just lots. And we got told that Elvis was one of these people that if he found something he liked, he would buy 10 of them, maybe just in different colours, just because he liked the feel of it or the look of it. So he'd buy the exact same thing in multiple. Well, look here. These 3 shirts are basically the same, just different colours, different patterns. Rid of the bright light at the top, brings these in. Need to boost the shadows just a tad to get this green shirt. There we go, that works. And here we are back on. I was facing the other way here, I think. Couch number 1, couch number 2, and 2 sets of chairs. A little on the yellow side. Let's just a touch warm. Basically the same shot. Table and chairs, I think I got these ones before. Not sure, so that looks good. Export. The green couch, the TV set, Elvis loved gadgets. In that we both have something similar, I suppose. I love gadgets. The big difference being Elvis had the money to buy gadgets, basically buy whatever he wanted. And I'm sure a lot of companies probably just gave him stuff anyway, just because of who he was. That looks fine there. Let's export that. And here's the table and chairs on the other side. This is the other side of the green couch. Again, there we go. You'll see the histograms getting blown off here. That's the TV set, which was running a video. Every compartment of this aircraft had a video running, so I'm not bothered about that at all. I'm not going to correct the whole picture just for this little bit here. Export. Next room, we've pretty much got that exact shot before. Slider, slidey slide. Another shot at the bar with scotch in the rum, even although Elvis supposedly didn't drink. This is a better shot of his chair though. This is Elvis's chair, and then behind the chair, in a shot coming up next, I remembered to get his control panel. And by his control panel, if you remember, I was talking about the phones and the 8-track tape player, that sort of stuff. That's under these plexiglass coverings back here. I'm fairly sure that fire extinguisher is new though. There we go. The two phones, one to talk directly to the aircraft pilot and one for outside, and also as a tannoy communications, 8-track tape player and a small equalizer for the tape player, and he could, from here he could pump music throughout the aircraft. A little bit warm, so let's adjust that. How much do we want to dehaze this? I can now see the phones. That's fairly good. That works. Zoomed in a little on the 8-track tape player, the equalizer. Unfortunately, zoom back out, as you can see it's slightly out of focus. Now we're pumped all the way up to 12,800 at the highest. I mean, we're wide open, we're still only getting 1/13th of a second. It's that dark. And I must have shifted. Everything's doubled up. This is the couch I was telling you about that folded out to a bed. And the FAA mandated seatbelts that I was telling you about earlier. We got a different angle on this one, so let's process this one. Shadows. How are we doing on highlights? Oh, not too bad. There we go. That works. Dining area, but looking backwards from Elvis's chair. I'm not sure we got these before. I think we did, just again a different angle. Now most of the blowout once again is going to be this TV or this monitor, which was running the video on a loop. That's looking good. We can actually increase exposure. And I wish whoever that is on my phone would stop texting me, but anyway. Elvis's bed, we got that one before. This time we get the full bed with the chair, so we'll take this one. If you remember, the last shot was cut off because I was standing about here up at the bulkhead on this side, and even with the wide angle 24 I cut off part, but even this I'm up wide open at 24mm. Again, that's slightly warm, so we'll bring that down a touch. Shadows, bring down the highlights. Here's a touch. I think it's still a little bit on the warm side. That's too blue. $3900, that works. Export, export. And again, his bathroom, and there I am. Hey! And we're going to end this video at this point. I'm going to split Graceland over a series of editing videos, because it's not just a case of editing the actual pictures. There's so much to tell you about the pictures themselves. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in the Elvis history and that kind of side of things, and not just how to edit pictures. So we're going to bring this one to a close. On the next one, we will go inside the actual museum, and we've still got Graceland itself to come as well. I hope you enjoyed this, and I shall see you in the next editing Elvis.